In this video, we're going to look at how to find the area and circumference of a circle. Now, to do this, it's important to recall some definitions of terms that are important for this part of the course. So to do this, let's take a look at this diagram. In it, we can see that the diameter of a circle is the line that passes through the centre and extends from one side of the circle to the other. We can see that the radius is the length of the line that extends from the centre of the circle only to the other side of the circle. So that's half the length of the diameter. And we can see that the distance around the outside of the circle is called the circumference. Now, in other 2D shapes that we were looking at over the last few days, the circumference was called the perimeter. So these two words are similar, but it's important to keep using the correct words with circles. So we'll stick to using the circumference to represent the outside of the circle. There's an important relationship between the length of the circumference in any circle and the length of the diameter in that circle. And the relationship is that if you divide the length of the circumference by the length of the diameter, you will always end up with the number 3.14159, etc. This is an important number in mathematics and has a special name. We call it pi. It's important to understand pi and radius and diameter because these terms are needed in order to calculate some identities in circles, like, for example, to calculate the area of a circle. Now, to calculate the area of a circle, we have to multiply the value of pi by the radius of that circle squared. To calculate the circumference of a circle, we have to multiply the value of pi by the diameter of the circle. Now, always remember, there's a little exclamation mark, always remember that your diameter is twice the size of the radius. And equally, that your radius is half the size of a diameter. So you can insert that property into this formula. So sometimes your formula for the circumference might become the circumference being equal to pi multiplied, now instead of diameter, we could use by 2 times the radius, okay? Because twice the radius is the same as the diameter. Okay, so let's look at a worked example. One of the questions that has come up in this example asks you rather to find the area and circumference of a circle of radius, length 21 centimeters. Taking, in the first case, pi being equal to the numerical value 3.14, and in the second case, taking pi being equal to the fraction 22/7. Now, it's important to note at this point that pi can be written as pi on its own, or pi can be written as 3.14, or pi can be written as a fraction, 22/7. Each of these numbers are equal, okay? So you can write pi in any of those 3 ways. How do you know which one to use? Well, the question will tell you. Okay, so let's get calculating the answer. So we need to find the area of the circle, in the first case taking pi as 3.14. So let's try that. Well, we've got a formula that states the area is equal to pi r squared. Now, to answer this question, we need to double check that we've got all of the information we need. So do we have a value for pi? Yes, we do. 3.14, that's what we've been told to use. Do we have the value of the radius? Yes, we do. It's 21 centimeters. So we can just make a straightforward substitution. Instead of pi, we use the value 3.14, and we multiply that by the value of the radius, which was 21, and our formula tells us to square the radius, so we square it. When we calculate this, 3.14 multiplied, now 21 squared is 441, and when we multiply those two figures together, we get 1,384.74. Now the unit in this case will be centimetres squared, and it's really important to include your units in your maths and in your science. So anytime you're doing calculation, try to show the units. And if there is no units, so let's pretend in this question they didn't give us 21 centimetres, maybe it just said 21. Then instead of writing on your answer 21 centimetres squared, we would have written the answer as 1,384.74 units squared. Okay? Now let's get rid of that. Okay. We now need to find, part 2 is the circumference of that same circle. So we can write the formula for circumference. Circumference was equal to 2 times pi times the radius. Now we know that pi must be 3.14, and we know that the radius was 21. So we can do a straightforward calculation. 2 by 3.14 will become 6.28 multiplied by 21. And when I use my calculator, I discover that that multiplies out to become 131.88 or 88 centimetres. Now, there's no squared in this case because I'm dealing with length, not area. So my answer is 131.88 centimetres, and only centimetres. Okay. The second part of the question asked us to calculate the area and the circumference when pi is equal to 22/7. Now, if you check this on your calculator, you will find that 22/7 is equivalent to 3.14. So, do we expect a different answer to emerge from our calculations? I would say not, because we're not changing anything. It's the same circle, it's the same numbers, it's the same substitutions, just in fraction form as opposed to a proper number form. But anyway, I'll do the first one as area, and we'll double check that. So area is given to you by pi r squared. Area pi in this case is 22/7. And the radius will continue to be 21. Nothing has changed, and that's squared. Area becomes 22/7 times, now 21 squared is 441. Now, I've got a fraction here, and I'm multiplying a fraction with what looks like not a fraction. So the best thing is for me to convert both numbers to make them look more like fraction forms. So this 441, I can put that over an invisible 1. That's how I think of it. So it makes it easier now, because when I'm multiplying fractions, my rule is to multiply top with top and bottom with the bottom. So I can calculate this. Area will become, now I'm not too sure off the top of my head what 22 multiplied by 441 is, so let me check that. Okay, Google, what is 22 times 441?
22 times 441 is 9,702.
Okay, so it's 9,702. And on the bottom line, I've got 7 times 1, which is just 7. Using my Google Home as opposed to a calculator, but if you have a calculator, use a calculator or the calculator on your phone. Okay, Google, what is 9,702 divided by 7?
The answer is approximately 9,700.286.
Okay, Google, 9,702 divided by 7.
The answer is 1,386.
It's actually 384.74. She got it wrong. Never mind. So, we don't have units. We need to include our units. So that's centimetres squared. We double check all of our calculations, And when we're happy, we highlight our answer and we can move on. I'd like you at home to try calculating the circumference of the circle using what I have just done. So for your circumference, your formula is 2 times pi times the radius. Now, don't forget, for pi, you want to use 22 over 7. The radius doesn't change, it's 21. And this is also part of the formula. So we have substituted in all of the numbers. In fact, you know, I'm just going to do this one and demonstrate it to you. So what I'd like to do is I will open up the brackets because I don't like to see brackets when I'm multiplying, so let me delete them. And I've got 3 terms. One of those terms is obviously a fraction, the other 2 aren't fractions. So I'll put the other 2 over an invisible one, and now I'm more comfortable handling 3 fractions. For ease, I'm going to deal with these 2 first of all. I'll multiply them together. And again, our rule is top with top, bottom with bottom. So what is 2 times 22? Well, that's 44. And what is 1 times 7? It's just 7. And then I'll bring down the other term, which is 21 over 1. Now, I need to calculate 44 multiplied by 21. Okay, Google, what is 44 times 21?
44 times 21 is 924.
Okay, 924. And my bottom number is 7 times 1, which will just be 7. Now let's see if Google can get it right this time. Okay, Google, what is 924 divided by 7?
The answer is 132.
132 centimetres is the unit. Now again, it's not centimetres squared because this is a length, not area. And when I compare those values, when I used pi was equal to 3.14. Let me do that again. When I used pi being equal to 3.14 versus when I let pi equal 22 over 7, for area, my answer was, 1,384.74 centimetres squared. And when I let pi be equal to 22 over 7, my area was 1,386 centimetres squared. The circumference, when pi was equal to 3.14, became 131.88 centimetres. And circumference, when I used the fraction of 22 over 7, became 132 centimetres. So when we compare them, we can make some conclusions in terms of specificity and preciseness. And you can draw some conclusions which we'll talk about tomorrow. Okay, thank you. See you all tomorrow. Bye-bye.